With me in the studio, Gidi Grinstein is a former peace negotiator under Prime Minister Ehud Barak, and he's the author of Insight, Peacemaking in the Oslo Process, 30 years and counting. He's the founder of the Reut Group as well. Welcome, Gidi.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. What is your sense, then? Are we on the verge of a deal this time?
I think it looks very, very close. The Americans are leaning in. This is a remarkable show of coordination between the outgoing Biden administration, the incoming Trump administration, both chief negotiators on both sides. Mr. Witkoff and Brett McGurk are in Doha pushing the side. It looks very, very serious. Also, the kind of leaks that we have seen, the political work which is being done in Israel by the Prime Minister to bring together the coalition, the request from government ministries to be ready to receive the hostages. All of this is indications that we're edging toward a deal. I did hear on my way coming in that right now the ball is in Israel's court. The Hamas has already kind of said yes to the draft. But I will say this is not a controversial deal. 90% of the Israeli public supports the, 90% of the people in the parliament today will vote for the deal. If we look at the
90% of MKs would vote.
MKs will vote for the deal. The entire opposition and most of the coalition, including Shas, including the ultra-Orthodox parties, most of Likud, etc., etc. This is not a controversial deal. This is a deal that is widely supported by the political leadership, and I also believe in the public. It's a dramatic deal. It's not a phased and partial deal. It's a phased deal. In the first phase, 34 hostages. In the second phase, the rest of the hostages. And then, hopefully, also a full resolution of the war and moving toward a political process.
Those who oppose it are the families of those young men who would not be released as part of the first stage of the deal.
Yes, but I also think that we have to be realistic about expectations here. To begin with, it's doubtful that Hamas even knows where everybody is. So sort of the expectation of releasing everybody at once in one single point and in place and time is actually unrealistic. The second point to be seen here is that Israel is also unwilling to release many more prisoners. Right now we're only committing to releasing 1,000 Palestinian prisoners. Only probably up to 200, based on what I heard, are actually what they call heavyweights. There are still thousands of Palestinians in the Israeli jails. So it's a partial deal always, but I would caution, I would advise everybody to think about it as a phase deal. This is a 6-week, 7-week first phase, and then a second phase. And this is where I think, hopefully, we'll be able to see an additional batch of hostages coming back, hopefully everybody.
Well, if a deal is reached this time around, after countless failed attempts, the only thing that has really changed this time around is that President Trump is going to be back in power in a few days. What does that tell us about the policy that the Biden administration pursued?
So for sure, we're seeing that the leaning in of the Trump administration is very significant. I also think that there is a lot of pressure from the military because there is lack of clarity about the fighting in the war. Just a few minutes ago, it was announced that 5 additional soldiers died in northern Gaza. And it's not clear what is the purpose of the fighting in Gaza. Israel is being sucked into on a slippery slope toward the civil administration in Gaza. Israel is declared the goal of removing Hamas without introducing an alternative. The only possible alternative to Hamas is the Palestinian Authority, which needs to be reformed and upgraded.
Under this deal, will Hamas still be in control of the Gaza Strip?
So this is the real kind of paradox of this deal, because Israel wants to remove Hamas, but in order to do the deal, Israel has to recognize Hamas as the one who's actually ruling in Gaza. I believe that only in a longer-term deal with a 3-phase approach in which eventually Gaza is divided into Area A and B. We're already seeing that the government is agreeing to a perimeter around Gaza, that Israel will have security control. That will probably take effect at the end of the second phase, ahead of the third phase. So Israel will control the perimeter, which is effectively like Area B in the West Bank. The rest of Gaza will be Area A. It should be controlled by the Palestinian Authority, which is the only mechanism to actually replace Hamas and introduce a self-governing Palestinian body, which is, again, an essential condition for the introduction of the international force that may come in and take over Gaza, both for security and also reconstruction.
Okay. For now, Gidi, thank you very much indeed.